Everything is supposed to be in the cloud until it is not. What actually makes sense for you in 2026 can be very confusing. So let's start it up. Welcome to Stack and Startup Al Fresco. Today, I want to break down a question that most businesses have already answered, but may not have answered well. Cloud versus local services. Because over the last decade, the messaging has been clear. Move everything to the cloud. And a lot of businesses, that made sense. But now in 2026, the conversation is more nuanced. It is no longer cloud or local. It is what should live where, and more importantly, why. Let's start by resetting the narrative. The cloud is not automatically better. Local infrastructure is not automatically outdated. Both are tools. And like any tool, they're only effective when used in the right context. According to Flexra's State of the Cloud report, over 80% of enterprises now use a multi-cloud strategy. That tells you something important. The market has already moved past all or nothing. It is about balance. So let's start with what the cloud actually does well. First, accessibility. You can work from anywhere. Prime example is this podcast. I'm recording, no wires attached to me, other than to the mic and camera, obviously. But this also supports remote teams, distributed operations, flexible work environments. If your salesperson is in the office, there's a good chance they're not selling. The second is scalability. You can increase capacity quickly, adjust resources as needed on demand without major upfront investment. Third, you'll have reduced infrastructure management. You are not maintaining physical servers that need cleaning, need monitoring, a hardware life cycle that you need to always keep up with, or any on site systems when you're dealing with the cloud. The fourth is you get built in redundancy in many cases. Obviously, if you go with large services like AWS, that is absolutely built in. But if you go with some smaller cloud services, again, your mileage may vary. So, cloud providers often include geographic redundancy, high availability. According to Gartner, public cloud spending continues to grow significantly year over year, reflecting adoption across industries. Now, where the cloud struggles is ongoing cost creep, dependency on internet connectivity, and less control over certain environments. Now, here's where local servers do things right. And as far as local infrastructure, you control the environment. You decide configuration, access, and overall performance. You do have predictable costs after investments too. Fewer variable costs, less subscription sprawl. And in performance, for large file operations, low latency applications, and specialized software, having everything geographically where you are cuts all of that down. And local systems can still outperform cloud setups. Fourth, and this is my personal favorite, independence. You are less dependent on internet reliability or external providers. If your internet goes down, your file access is typically still there. But let's also explore where local struggles. As mentioned before, there's the maintenance aspect. You are responsible for everything that happens with that hardware, the hardware life cycle, and that does give you scalability limitations. If you all of a sudden have a rush on your website, you can't scale and you could potentially go down. So, what is the real problem? The real problem is misalignment. Most businesses do not have a cloud problem, they have a decision problem. They have either moved everything to the cloud without a plan or stayed fully local without reevaluating what that potentially means. And both do create inefficiencies. According to Flexera, organizations estimate that up to 30% of cloud spent is wasted. That's not because the cloud is bad. It's because it's often used without optimization. At the same time, businesses holding onto local systems too long often face aging hardware, increased maintenance, and limited flexibility. So the issue is not the tool. The issue is alignment. So, with all that being said, what actually makes sense in 2026? And here's where things land. Most businesses should not be asking cloud or local. They should be asking what belongs in each. A practical breakdown here. The cloud is ideal for email and collaboration. Think of your Microsoft 365, your Google Workspaces. You'll get remote access environments, scalable applications, and distributed teams. In most cases, your web services, your websites, should be on the cloud because of that automatic scaling. Local is still strong for high performance workloads, large data environments, specialized applications, and environments requiring tight control. One of the examples, me being a YouTuber, is trying to edit videos on the cloud is a massive pain. So being able to transfer everything from my recording computer to my main video editing computer is only realistic when the computers are closer together. The reality, most businesses should be operating in a hybrid model. A little bit of systems in the cloud and a little bit closer to home, connected intentionally. So let's look at your decision framework. If you are evaluating your setup, ask first, What happens if this system goes down? So that means a lot of businesses are paying for cloud resources no one is even using anymore. Second question, how often is this accessed remotely? High remote need cloud makes more sense. The third question, is cost predictable or is it growing? You want to watch for subscription creep or any unused resources, something that may scale up but doesn't automatically scale back down. The fourth, does this system require high performance? If yes, a local and possibly hybrid model may be what you're looking for. And fifth, are we choosing based on trend or need? This is critical. Do not follow trends. There are so many companies out there that they just chase trends and they find out it just doesn't fit. So you need to follow the fit. For my own home lab, I am mostly on-prem or premises. This is more for learning about the services I want and need for my business. I take a more hybrid approach using some software as a service or SaaS. I will likely move over some of my web services in the future to the cloud, as on-prem adds a layer of complexity and risk I do not really want to take on. All of these assessments come with costs and benefits, and each need to be weighed carefully. There might even be a point where my home lab becomes a full hybrid environment of some sort. So my Plex media stays on-prem to have my media close by, but large offsite backup is handled by the cloud. The options are really endless, but I know that there's only one solution I will be happy with. So the conversation really has evolved. It is no longer cloud versus local. It is alignment versus misalignment. The smartest businesses are not choosing sides. They are designing systems that support how they operate, how they scale with growth, and balance the costs and control. If your current setup feels more expensive than expected or limited than it should be, that is a signal to you, because the right solution is not one or the other. It is the one that actually fits your business. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Stack and Startup Al Fresco. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can find us on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts to follow along as we continue to explore business and technology from a different perspective. Lastly, if you want to support these conversations directly, you can become a patron at patreon.com/stackandstartup. Until next time, keep thinking outside the box.